Bipolar disorder has been hard on my life. In fact, I've had doctors say it ruined my life. I've had several relationships get destroyed. I've lost over 8 jobs. And I still come back and keep fighting.
I think about what recovery from this illness looks like. And I think about what normalizing the symptoms looks like, and how to sort of detach from the symptoms and be with that, but separate in some way.
Can you give me an example?
So, like, depression goes through the mind and the body, but from a spiritual standpoint, you can be detached from both of those, and allow the mind and body to go through what they have to go through, but don't let that pull your spirit into that mess. So trying to see these moments as moments and not eternities. And that from a spiritual perspective, my body is a tool to take me places and go where I need to go and do what I need to do, and my mind helps drive the body to do those things, to fulfill, in essence, my spiritual goal, which is really to find God within me.
You are. Now, in the questing behind that, there's a sense that alleviates the anxiety end or the mania end or the depressive end.
I think it alleviates all of that, in the sense that you can go there, but you can come back. And this sense of being able to come back is what's really important.
What do you mean?
So I think normal people go through normal life not thinking about normality. And in the bipolar life, normality is a goal.
Stabilization with emotions and mind is the overarching aim, correct?
Correct.
As opposed to this labile up and down swing in terms of the emotional and the suppression of all that or the loosening of all that.
Right.
You have a reference point of what it was like to be normal at one time in your life, right?
I was fine until 26. I had a very happy life. I look back at the pictures from my past, and I was a normal kid, and grew up in a happy home, and saw anger and sadness and all that, but it was normal.
So in 26, your world profoundly changed. Did you sense the change pretty immediately, or did it come in time, that realization that it wasn't normal anymore?
I didn't realize that it wasn't normal. I was very much very much aware of the manic episode that I went through, but did not understand that that was not normal. I didn't understand that 1% of the population had this illness. I didn't understand that this illness was super serious. And at the time, the doctor was not sure if I had the illness or not. He said, this could be a one-time thing. We don't know, if this happens again, you're on lithium for life. But so it wasn't until my second episode that I went through it, and I didn't adjust to it then. I don't think that I realize it's not normal until now.
It took all that time for you to come to the conclusion of acceptance.
Yeah.
Did you have an idea what it was other than bipolar?
No, just my life.
So do you think you had normalized to the swings, or that you rejected that as being uncommon and rare?
I think when I'm in the swings, and it's not that noticeable to me. It's noticeable to others.
Yes. Do you feel like that you prefer the low or the high?
Well, the highs get out of control very quickly. So I've never had like extended periods of hypomania that feel great and I should stay this way. It's always been just right through the roof.
And then it brings a lot of uncomfortable reactions from lots of people.
Right. And I'm not making sense, and I can't function, and it's a real problem. And those happen rarely.
But they have happened.
They have happened, probably 8 or 9 times.
Yeah.
On the depressive side, it's a longer tract, and really harder to treat.
Do you experience anything akin to joy?
We got these scooters, little electric scooters, for the campsites and stuff. We just got them, and they're so much fun that I really get a lot of pleasure just scooting around.
So you're driving around the neighborhood.
Right. And just that little thing with playing with Jolie is just a lot of fun.
So that brings you some relief from the low feeling and gives you a sense of some sense of elation.
Yeah. And during this period with my mom, it's been just a godsend. The other big piece of this is the shame I feel having this illness and dealing with other people that for the most part, don't, that have their lives going in certain direction, and, like, how do I describe my life in that context where there's this sort of one-upsmanship that goes on when you meet people or talk to people about their world and your world.
What does the shame look like or feel like?
That I have to hide.
Why?
Because I don't want to let people know that there's something wrong with me.
And the question I would have again is why? Is it because you're ashamed of what's wrong with you? I mean, I agree you don't want to advertise it to the world. I agree with that.
Right.
But the experiential reality of being shamed for an illness you cannot resolve doesn't seem to be a benefit either. I mean, I can understand, what do you do for a living? Well,
Now I can say I'm retired.
yes,
People are okay with that.
yes. Or how did you get to where you could retire so early in life? And then you got to explain that.
Well, I can tell people I'm on disability, and
Yeah. And are you ashamed of that?
not really. And then I guess I just feel less than, and Jolie says don't be so hard on yourself, and that you are a good person and you should focus on that.
Well, what are you less than in comparative? What do you mean by that?
I had big dreams. I had big thoughts. I really felt like I was going to do something in the film business and was going to make millions of dollars, and was on a good path to do that. And at 26, that was all taken away.
So essentially what you're saying is, because the illness took me away, it took away my dreams and hopes and my aspirations, and I'm ashamed of that. I let myself down somehow.
And I had to pivot. And I feel like I have to pivot again now in disability.
Well, you've made a remarkable journey out of your life, and quite a testimony and quite a witness of recovery, and even your project, it looks like it has going to have value and meaning to it. And that small sense of self-uselessness is probably artificial, don't you think?
For sure, it's in my mind.
Yeah.
And my comparison to others is in my mind. And how I get away from judging others and disliking people because they annoy me, or I don't feel like they're a good person, or like becoming more accepting is something I really want to work on.
You, in order to accept the other person's moccasins on your feet, you have to remember you're barefoot yourself, so that you can wear those moccasins with with gratitude and compassion. Because the other person's journey, not being yours, is still worthy of respect and dignity. And you, of all people, should surely have that ability to apply compassion because of the journey you've been on. And my goodness, how much have you heard over time? Quite a bit.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how it all plays out. I don't know how I let go of
What
these
do you mean let go of what?
these thoughts and feelings of despair and comparison. I think.
Well, there's a little bit of a misnomer when people say let it go and let it be. It's like, but I want to keep it because there's a useful purpose somehow or another in keeping it. It keeps us safe with our emotions, safe with the integrity of our mental image of ourselves. And if we don't need all that, we can let it go. But as long as we need it, it's really hard to let it go. And you've got nobody to prove anything to anymore, Michael. You don't have a workaday world to prove anything to. You don't have a spouse to prove anything to. You don't have an expectation. The only thing you've got is yourself to prove to yourself that you're worthy. And Michael, you're worthy. You got no risk in letting go that I can see that's real, except that self-critical judgment on your own self. You got nothing to prove to anybody anymore.
And I think that's the piece that has to be steamrolled, is the self-critic.
Yeah. Well, the critic in you holds yourself hostage. And it's a velvet cage. You have the keys on the inside. You can unlock and walk out if you want to.
And I guess it's becoming aware of that doorway.
Well, when you face the other-centeredness of something, it's like, am I adequate to your perceived need? That's scary for some people. It's very unsettling to know that you're risking the possibilities of someone having to expect of you something you're not prepared to give. And of course, the one that's in charge of that at all times is who and what you are. If you're comfortable with yourself, you got no problems. If you're not emotionally, internally stable with yourself, well, there's always these hooks and baits and scary stuff. But once you center yourself, you got no problem.
And I guess that's really the goal in meditation, is to come to center.
Yeah.
You know, trying to stay focused on the center.
Yeah, there's another part to mindfulness, and that is present tense awareness. I'm here now, that's all I've got. I can concentrate on me in the moment and not be distracted or concerned with the busyness of it all. I can stay in harmony with my head and my heart. And as long as you do harmony, you're in a good space. The problem with mania and depression is it discombobulates the balance, so that you can't find harmony.
Right.
But as long as you strive for that, you're going to be okay.
And that's, I guess, what I mean by normalizing the symptoms, in that, you know, somehow getting that band a little bit wider and not going beyond.
Don't you think you're in a place where you're doing that now?
To a certain degree, yes. To a certain degree, yes. And I guess I don't know what to call that. And
Working it out.
And
being in the moment.
Right.
Factoring.
But is it recovery?
Sure, it's recovery. It's also a place of recovered. You're supposed to sense that. When you're practicing it, you're in recovery. When you do it, you're recovered. It's a moment by moment process arena. You can look back and say, I've arrived and I'm arriving. You're doing fine. You can't do it perfectly, but you can do it well enough to say, I'm there.
And the shift is in the moment.
Yes, it is. The shift is in the moment. Good, well spoken. Well spoken. What are you going to do next week?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Michael Winterburn. Thanks for watching my video. I'm starting this channel to raise awareness about bipolar disorder. I'm planning on making more videos to help people that not only have this disorder, but also the ones that love and support them. If you enjoyed this content, please subscribe to my channel and be kept abreast of the latest videos. I'd appreciate your suggestions and comments so that I may incorporate them into future topics. Thanks.